What's popping, y'all? Today we're looking at Jubilee is being fat a choice by Middle Ground. Now, this is such a big topic in America because, as you many will know, obesity is on the rise, as well as we continue to have this big cultural war about being skinny, being fat, fat acceptance and all this, as well as if we should continue with the body positivity movement.
Being fat or skinny is a choice. Agreeers?
I'll say it's a choice, but let me get more into that later.
Of course, not every factor is purely choice. I don't think that every factor is, but I do think a majority of it is. And in most cases, for most people, being skinny or being fat is about willpower. It's about the environment you grow up in, sure, but who you choose to associate with, what sort of things you choose to listen to, who you choose to kind of have as your friends around you and support you. All of those things are choices that you can make that will lead you closer towards being one or the other.
So I like what he was talking about because while I can debate about willpower and all that, because yes, ultimately being, a certain weight above, genetics, what genetics will predispose you to be, that's a choice. I like that he said like it is a matter of like a lot of environmental factors depending on who your peers are, what they influence is, what your environment is, what type of eating habits you had when you were younger and all that. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't really understand, that yes, like if you want to pound down a Big Mac or something and you want to be over 200 pounds and all this, not 200 pounds, but like you get what I'm saying. Yes, that's a choice, but it's just like a lot of that is shaped through your environment, and I'll go more into that later.
For me, it's calories in, calories out. Go to the gym, you'll get buff. Don't go to the gym, you won't get buff. I understand that there's genetics that could cause you to want to eat more, but even with the genetics that cause you to want to eat more, the same solution is calories in, calories out.
I think
but I like how she said calories in, calories out. Like that is simple. Like, yes, you can go realistically to the gym once a week, but at the end of the day, it's very much hard to have a schedule where you just like you need to make sure you're taking the same amount of calories you eating and taking that, make sure you're taking it out. And that's like depends on your diet. Like I'm not saying that I will agree with someone who like overeats the calories, as opposed to like they go to the gym, they got burned off and they're not even burned off, and so there's more calories in than calories going out. But at the end of the day, not everyone's schedule is like allows them to be able to have that pristine, just like, okay, I eat enough of this, I'm able to go to the gym to this, and I'll be able to do that. But I would say for in my example, like let's say even if I try to eat the most healthiest of days, like if I'm just eating salad, if I'm eating just like eggs, and just not having too much seasoning, not having too much salt, not eating any like fried or fatty foods and all that, I can't go realistically to the gym like once a day to be able to release those things because I'm just busy. Like I have a lot of stuff with school, work, and all this, and I just can't go to the gym. And I feel like that's realistically for a lot of people. And I'm not trying to make an excuse that people just like overeat, continuously overeat. But it's just one of those things where it's just like, let's just not pretend like calorie in and calorie out is just a simple thing you can do and implement in your daily life.
I felt like as a toddler, I always viewed myself as big. I grew up in a very poor home, so where my mom couldn't provide the meals that she could healthily. So when we would get free meals, even then it would be canned food, and it would be very much food that's not as edible. It was food for us.
I would say this, like a lot of people always refer to like eating healthy as eating like canned green beans and all that, and I would say that it's not even the healthiest because there's so much preservatives, there's so much stuff in it to be able to make sure that they become non-perishable, that moment you eat it, you're not really gonna be as healthy as you think you are. Like that's still better than going to McDonald's and getting a Big Mac, or going to Whopper, or going eating Wendy's 4 for 4 every day. But it's just like I would prefer people to have fresh food, like actually having like fresh like farm to table food. That is the most healthiest, and then having like a cans full of preservatives and stuff like that too, trying to make sure it lasts for like a year or two. I would say definitely expose your kids to a variety of foods. And I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, that's not my practice. I've just done research in food insecurity. But the best way for kids to like not have picky eaters, or I'm not saying she's picky eater, but more so just like they have like understanding of nutrition, is expose them to different foods and not just expose them to the same foods, especially you talking about junk foods. Like some days you can good, some days you may actually make your own dinner from scratch. Some days you might want to go to McDonald's or whatever. You know, our days was usually on Fridays. You know, we go get Happy Meals and all that when we were younger, me and my brother. You shouldn't just like try to pigeonhole your kids, if you have the means, you know, into certain food groups and all that.
Like leaning parent to be like, go and get checked out, go and do this. Like your weight is probably not your fault. It was always like, your weight is your fault, so that's your issue.
I mean, I also struggle with, you know, thyroid and my own blood issues. I'm not quite sure, but I do see an endocrinologist and I go see a doctor. It's a choice to do the requisite steps. It's a choice to go.
Well, I would say endocrinologist because that's a practitioner. I mean, it depends on health insurance, and like the lady in the, you know, red top, the jeans that was on the I'm trying to think, on the other side, she was saying that, you know, she grew up poor, and you know, it's just one of those things like if she didn't go out of that social standing, like health insurance is gonna be a big problem. So I get like she's trying to say like, you know, it's still your choice. You need to go get yourself checked out and all this, that, and third, but you need to be able to have the means for it.
Shopping instead of going to fast food when it's easy. It's a choice when you're grocery shopping to go to the outer aisles and like not go into the bread section and not go into the junk food section. These are all choices.
As a disabled woman, I can't do a lot of the things that people say.
That's the
calories
point.
in, calories out.
Yep.
Oh, you got to go work out and
She
exert
can't
it.
go
A
work
lot of
out
the things
and
that are
exert, yeah.
typical. Oh, this is how you lose weight. Put me in the hospital. I have to navigate weight differently. I have to look at it differently. My weight is the way it is because of medication, because doctors put me in this position, and I had to learn. Okay, am I going to be so hateful of my own body that I am going to backlash and put myself through extreme gym nights, through keeping myself from eating things that I should be able to eat? You should be able to have a balance. You should be able to go into the junk food. I worry about gaining 20 pounds.
But I don't think skinny people go
all
into
people.
this junk food aisle.
They
I think that's-
certainly
Yes,
do.
they do.
Yeah, I've known a bunch of skinny people that goes into the junk food aisle. Like, she just must be in a closed off house. But I like what the lady said, and what the Canaan White said. Basically, you know, a lot of people think when they talk about, you know, not disability, but when people talk about, you know, well, they could be having a disease or something, a lot of people often point to genetics, you know, giving them a predisposition to be overweight or obese and all that. But a lot of people also are disabled. A lot of times, you know, if they have a certain medication change, then they'll be able to gain a lot more weight or swelling and edema and all this in their body. And it just depends on many different situations. Like, you know, people are not just out here getting fat because, you know, they just don't eat junk food and using like genetics as an excuse. It's just a lot of people, especially who are disabled or, you know, who are unable to like get around in the world like we do, face, you know, this issue. And it's just something I'm glad they really highlighted with this episode.
Than fat.
Oh, that's an age
Can the
old
agreeers please step
debate.
forward?
I think that it is common in society to want to be skinny. I think the average person typically wants to be skinny. I'm actually surprised that I didn't see more people come forward on that question. People treat you better. It is what is considered the standard of beauty. Your life expectancy is longer. You tend to be healthier.
I'm also really tall. I'm 6'.
Like, we didn't get like a certain definition of skinny. Like, is it skinny, healthily skinny, or like just skinny in general? Because there's, you know, you got them examples of kids who are malnourished, though they are skinny, but they're definitely not healthy. They're not having like longer lifespans and all that. So I know what they're trying to say. I know they're trying to make it the definition of healthy, but just to really just talk about what she just said, being skinny doesn't mean you're necessarily healthy or you have a longer lifespan. But you also gotta understand that, you know, life can happen. So you get cancer, you get sick, you get everything like that could cause you to be skinnier, and like that doesn't mean your lifespan is necessarily gonna, you know, expand upon. As well as the fact that, you know, when you talk about set points, like she just said in a other segment, your body wants to be at a certain point. I mean, some people's bodies don't want you to be skinny, and that is okay. I'm not saying, like I say, you should be able to splurge on Big Macs every day, but it's a certain point where it's just like, as long as you take care of yourself, doing the basic things you need to make sure you're healthy, get on your greens, you know, the food pyramid and all that, cut it back on the salt and actually, not really just trying to go greasy foods, that is totally fine. And that doesn't mean that, we should still try to conform to society's methods of just trying to make sure everyone is like skinny, or making sure everybody, is following the set, kind of like, kind of like Loki God's plan.
And the attention that I got was different, but even as a smaller person, you get negative attention. And rather than trying to control my body to avoid that negative attention, I would prefer to address the situation as a society, make it more accessible for everybody to where we aren't feeling like I have to be a certain way that's normal in order to be treated like a human being and respected.
I like what she said, because I just had this talk with a buddy over, a few days ago. And like, we came to an agreement that, like, yes, we want our wife to be fit. We want our wives to be, in shape, not eating junk food, make sure they keep that, health in check. But overall, if they're like not the European supermodel type, of girl, at the end of the day, that's fine, as long as she's keeping up with herself and make sure she's, taking care of herself. I think we as a society, we always, want to have like the skinniest person, and we always think skinniest is best. We get, so cranked up about the Kim Kardashians, the Kardashians of the world, the models, the Giselle Bundchens of the world, and basically we get so caught up that we want our woman to be like that. Not every woman is going to be like an hourglass figure. Like, there will be average women that have average body types, and some are going to be a little bit larger than others, some are going to be a little bit smaller than others. But we shouldn't be trying to attain to like a certain body type, as long as people are trying to eat healthy and be healthy, and not trying to like put themselves in an early casket with their diet.
America has an obesity problem.
Yes. Before I even start on this one, like, yes, we have an obesity problem. Like, I'm getting kids like seeing younger and younger who are getting bigger and bigger, and it's just one of those things where it's just like, not only is their eating habits are not being, trained up in them, but also to the point is just like, I've been seeing more and more fast food joints popping up in every neighborhood or every corner of a neighborhood. Like, it makes no sense why I rode through, south side of Houston or south side of Dallas or south side of, Atlanta. Like, I've seen Checkers, a McDonald's, Burger King, a Chick-fil-A, Whataburger, all in the same little bubble. Like, it makes no sense. And it's just like, this is a huge problem I think people don't understand when it comes to the fact of like, yes, it's a choice. Yes, people have a choice to go out and eat and whatever, but there's so many other factors that kind of go into obesity. Like, if you're poor, you're generally going to go for that for a meal rather than trying to go for groceries, because them groceries cost a lot more with inflation, but they're lasting a lot less. The best analogy I have for that, ironically, is the potato chip, bundle. Like, you're basically paying the same amount for the same bag of chips when half of it's full of air. That's how you can describe a lot of the situations at the grocery store with inflation. Like, you're paying a lot more or the same prices for smaller doses of stuff or smaller, quantities of stuff that might not be as filling as where you want to talk about veggies, when you want to talk about fresh and fruits and all that, when you want to talk about, processed food, whatever. It's just inflation is really like causing and contributing this problem of obesity, because now they're looking for cheaper options, which are a lot more unhealthier.
Oh, absolutely, you can't. I think it's pretty clear. You look at the weight of the average American, you see how obesity has affected not just children. I mean, the fact that we have more younger and younger people who are looking heavier and heavier, and you see that, like, the way that weight affects us as a society, and you compare that to how we were in the past. Now, not that we should always, we shouldn't compare ourselves to the era of the Great Depression when people just couldn't find food, of course, but people are heavier now in an unhealthy way.
We're actually supporting a lot of this, and there's always people like, like, it's fine that we have like 3 McDonald's like on the same street. And it's just
My point exactly.
We don't think that this is adding to the problem.
Yep.
What I think is really sad about
one thing I want to really note, crazy part too about the, how unhealthy food is ingrained in our culture. Literally, we have like a fried food contest at the State Fair of Texas. Like, if you go to DFW, like, you'll probably find random contraptions that are being fried. Like, we have fried Oreo, we have fried zucchini one year, which is delicious though. I give zucchini that one. We have fried cookie dough, fried ice cream, fried everything. Literally, at State Fair, Texas, and like it's like people's like lifelong dream to go there and try all the five fried foods. Granted, if you do it probably like you once out of a year, you probably be fine. But I just want to show you how much unhealthiness is ingrained in our culture, especially in the South, because we have a lot of unhealthy, soul food diets. Fried catfish, fried okra, fried, pork chops, fried chicken. You got the greens with a lot of grease. You got the chitlings. You got a lot of pig feet, turkey necks and all that. Well, turkey necks a little bit more healthier, but anyway, but you get what I'm saying. It's just like a lot of unhealthiness in the South, especially, and it's just like so much ingrained in it and like contribute to like the obesity problem.
I don't want to say I know that these people know the problem, but it's like, how can you not see the problem? They have to see it and just not care. They have to just be like, well, we're gaining profit. Do you see how much this McDonald's is making?
Yep.
Put another one across the street. Like, that's just like
It's not
how it
even
is.
that. Wavered a little bit because I think we have a problem with how to treat obesity. I think we have a problem with how to make it so that it is not an epidemic. This is a systemic thing, that we are in a society and in an environment that breeds this. And we are doing it to ourselves, we are doing it to our children, and our corporations and our industries are doing it to us, and they aren't having to take responsibility for
And
it.
they're encouraged.
She said it builds people. I've been trying to discuss this whole this whole video. Like, yes, going to McDonald's, eating a Big Mac every day is a choice, but it doesn't make any sense why we got like 10 McDonald's in maybe like maybe let's say 5 mile radius. Like we have 10 McDonald's in a 5 mile radius, along with Chick-fil-A, along with Burger King, along with all these different restaurants, Cheddar's, Steak, Saltgrass, and all that. Like, it don't make no sense why we have so much proliferation on unhealthy food in a very concentrated area, and we keep saying like, oh, it's people who are a problem. Like, how about we actually build environments where we actually have healthy food, like access to healthy food in like every like segment in our society, like more healthy restaurants, lower the cost of healthy foods, put regulation on healthy food, and like how much they can like, upcharge on them, as well as like create access to healthy food when it comes to like the school pipeline. Like, stop trying to put all these processed, frozen pizzas, like rectangular pizzas in the school districts, and actually put some healthy like homegrown pizza and stuff like that too, in the system.
With media. So
And the mukbangs, I was literally gonna bring that up. The mukbangs
mukbangs
and
are
like all those
definitely,
videos
I
that just
give
come
that.
up to trends for people
not
to do
only
it as
the
well.
mukbangs, but also like Lizzo and other big like media people.
I'm sorry,
That's
there's
Bro,
a very
Lizzo.
big difference between the people who are
That's
telling
wild.
people go out and get fat versus a
I love
Lizzo
myself
who's saying
fat.
accept me
Yeah.
the way I am.
She's not just saying accept me the way I am. She's dressing extremely scantily clad and then saying if you don't think that it's normal for a morbidly obese person to be wearing a G-string in the middle of public, then you're the problem. And they're trying to normalize society to this obese culture, which is extremely unhealthy.
That's more so sex positivity and body positivity than actually telling people to go out and go eat like a Big Mac. Like, well, all fun and games with Lizzo. I mean, she got some stuff going on legally, but just her whole basis of like her loving herself, it doesn't mean like she want everybody else to be fat. It's just like she gotta be comfortable in her own skin. And some people take it around with it, be like, oh, she's telling you little girls, you need to be fat, you need to be fat. And some people will be like, understand the message for what it is. But we still need to understand that even though we have Lizzo in the culture, we also still got like 10 dozen, fast food joints in a 2 to 4 mile radius of one another. And it's just like, that's not like, that's the biggest driver why people are like going, like, just, I don't care what Lizzo eating, like, we don't care what Lizzo's doing, like how Lizzo look, but it's just like, if I'm tired, if I'm sleepy, if I just want to get home, I had classes all day and I don't feel like cooking, I'm gonna go get a Big Mac. Like, that's the root of the cause issues we need to fix,
What is an obese culture?
a culture which like normalizes
I'm obese and I haven't even
obesity.
heard that.
Well, obesity is already normal, so
Well, I don't think it should be normalized, and it wasn't normal
But
just a couple
what's the
decades
difference
ago.
between a obese person, myself, walking around in a G-string or a bathing suit, as I do almost every day, and a skinny person? Like, is it okay that the skinny person is doing that?
I don't think so, but
I don't think
that's
that-
for other reasons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think just more conservativeness going on with the lady in the red dress, because it's just like, if you want to talk about like, is it appropriate to wear jean string in public? No, I don't think it's appropriate regardless. I mean, that's whatever. But it's like you trying to say that, hey, she pushing an agenda with. I'm like, no, she just feeling herself at the onset of it. Now, do we feel comfortable with her feeling herself? I don't know, but it's just like we just can't keep, stop trying to lump everything into like some type of agenda.
Fat shaming is worse than skinny shaming.
Do not shame, y'all. Those in the comment section, do not shame.
Shaming is a systemic problem. You're not gonna not get a job because you're too skinny. Skinny bodies are praised in our society, whereas fat bodies, like, I don't get it as often as other people, but I get a lot of comments on my Instagram that are saying like, you're really beautiful, but you would look a lot better if you lost 50, 60 pounds.
Something that I always get a lot of comments on is my masculinity as a man because of how skinny I am. It's always something that I've always kind of dealt with. My favorite comment is always, I look like a sickly, ill Victorian child. And
That's horrible.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at that.
no, I don't, it doesn't bother me as much, but
Golly.
this idea that skinny people can't also get these kind of comments are just kind of mind-blowing. That doesn't mean that they're, that one side is getting it worse than the other. I think that there are both sides getting piled on, just at different varying degrees.
I think we're
Yeah, I've had comments whenever I was really skinny, and especially before I got off to college. Like, I was really skinny in high school, and I'm trying to think, and especially in middle school, I was very skinny, and it was just like, that's the age that everyone getting into football. All the guys wanted to be, varsity in soccer, football, baseball, whatever. I wasn't really a sports dude. I was really skinny, but it was just one of those things where it's just like, I was like, oh, you're not like a, masculine man. Oh, you're a sissy, you need to put weight on, you need to get some muscles, all this, that, and the third. And now it kind of transformed. Now I'm after college, I'm still trying to deal with my weight. Luckily I'm still losing a little bit weight, but I'm still trying to figure out my journey. Now people are just like, oh, you're gaining too much weight. I wish I miss how you used to be, and the same people call me sissy. You need to go back to how you used to be and lose that weight. And I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, bro, you gotta pick a struggle, because at the end of the day, my body journey is gonna be a different breathe, depending on like what type of mood I'm in, depending on what type of season of my life I'm in. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, either skinny shaming or fat shaming. I think those are things, we really need to like talk about as a society, because it's not really just like, us, talking about like, oh, I want my girlfriend to be a certain way or height, or all this or whatever. But now it comes to kids, I've heard kids saying the most meanest things to each other, and they usually get it from adults, based on like how they feel about fat or skinny people. And it's just like, that's something we need to address.
Diet culture has positive effects.
Depends on what you're trying
I
to
guess
diet.
for me, diet culture is an important thing to have for people in the world. What I've realized after we're about to finish this up is there wasn't a lot of talk on skinny culture or like skinny people as a whole. Maybe that's because of how the prompt is. But I think it's important, if we're going to give positivity to kids who are obese, I think it's important to give them the options to, say if they want to lose weight, they can. And I don't see a problem with that in any real sense.
Knowledge is power. I think kids should have knowledge they want to decide what they want to do with their lives. I think, nutrition need to be discussed a little bit more often in schools. Like, I feel like we don't teach upon it enough. Like, only thing I was able to get was from home ec class, when I was taking a sophomore year. But to build a foundation of creating a healthier culture where obesity is a problem, we need to teach kids how to diet. We need to teach kids how to like implement those diet in their real lives, and teach kids, hey, it's not right eating, McDonald's every day. Like, make sure if you have the power to change it, please change it, when you're older at least. And so it's just one of those things where I like what he said, like dieting. I'm not saying that, we should be getting kids to be anorexic, But why I'm saying that kids should be able to know like what good foods are there, like how to have balance, and making sure that dispel all the myths they get from diets and all that.
And as soon as I had like a mental break where I was like physically incapable of stopping myself from putting food in my mouth, I immediately went to see a doctor, and that doctor told me to read a book called Intuitive Eating, and it wildly changed my life. And it was about getting past diet culture and about how so many people ruin their lives with diet culture. And you see it with like somebody talked about eating grapes and lettuce, and it's grapes and lettuce, and it's just like it's this extreme, and so you go from one extreme and then you break, and then you go to the other extreme, and so like I was in my extreme, I broke, so that's why I'm anti-diet culture.
Yeah. Big thing I need to let y'all know. Do not eat just fruits like vegetables and all that. Make sure you get carbohydrates, good carbohydrates, because reality is you need carbohydrates to really function in your body, have energy and stuff. And you can't do that with just vegetables and stuff. You need to have a lot more vegetables mixed into it, and like just make sure keep it balanced. But that's why I don't really like the keto diet, because it's just one of those things, like you're getting rid of all your carbohydrates, like you have no energy to function throughout the day, and that's something you actually need to have, to be able to do things you need to do, whether go to work, school, sports, extracurriculars, whatever. You need to have carbohydrates in your system. So please, please do not cut that out of your system. Just balance it out.
There's this idea of like, oh, I've got this perfect solution for you, man. All you got to do is this, and this, and that. And it's like, no. Like the reality is like, yeah, there are good, correct, and objective ways, I think, for a lot of people to eat. And yes, everybody has to have some variations here and there. There's no one bag fix all, and diet culture is so much about trying to say like, all you got to do is just eat cheese puffs every day for the rest of your life. And
it's easy.
Yeah. And so that's why I think diet culture doesn't help.
You're always going to get those people who have the perfect answer. They have the perfect solution to either lose weight, or diet isn't just losing weight, it's also gaining weight. And I think a lot of people, maybe it's just for me, but when I diet, it's actually not the opposite of fasting. I'm trying to eat more. I'm trying to gain more.
I feel like positive or negative.
And it's been positive to me across the line. I guess I'll never know, but hearing these perspectives were really good, because I probably didn't know as much about the extremes.
I want to thank all of you for sharing your opinions with us and for challenging us. And I really want to thank you. I thank you for the back and forth. It's something that I came here for, and I wanted to talk to somebody.
Like, this is a very tame middle ground episode. I was surprised based on the topic. But with that being said, that has been Pop Health Reacts today, reacting to Jubilee. So if you like to see that, like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, all that wonderful good stuff, as well as leave your comment down below how you feel about the episode, some of your thoughts of what I said, any tips, tricks, or whatever like that too, as well as the fact, be kind in the comment sections. You will get blocked if you do fat shaming, skinny shaming, whatever. As well as you want to see my last reaction I did on Mr. Beast, look up right here. But with that being said, stay warm, frosty, especially in Texas, cold, and peace out.